Hey, Sterling cousins. You already know what time it is. And I made it horror stories. And I made it horror stories. What's where we with today? Where we with today? Mr. Creepy, a new cousin, given to us by an official cousin. You know, if you're a frequent watcher and you be active in the comments, you'll know who gave us this person because she a great cousin of ours. You know what I mean? So let's see what he's hitting on in this video. As always, feel free to go over and see what they're doing on their channel more recently because this is from 2 months ago. You know, I love stuff from the past. So let's get up into it. This is neighbor scary stories by Mr. Creepy. He loves to watch her sleep. Mm. who watching who sleep? That's what we need to find out. Let's get into it. Go out and grab your blunts, please. Grab a blanket, a bag of chips, and a bottle of water. The 4 B's. Come on now. Let's get up into it. And let's go. Disclaimer, disclaimer.
In this video, a man was spotted to be huddling in a cramped attic. Behind this strange behavior is a horror story you cannot skip.
Oh, hell no.
Kylie and her mom just moved to Kensington, Maryland a week ago.
Okay.
Every day, she returned home and stayed in her room right after class. Kylie's mom claimed that the breakdown of her marriage with her ex-husband had caused Kylie to become so distant and close-mouthed. However, the truth was indeed different. In fact, Kylie was making money on OnlyFans and she was keeping a secret from her mom. She did it all for money. She wanted to earn money so that she could move to LA. That day, Kylie came back to her room as usual and started live streaming on OnlyFans. She felt lucky to have these loyal fans who were willing to pay a lot of money just to unlock her hot photos and watch her live stream. They even sent gifts to her previous house in Ohio.
Oh God, there's something wrong with my laptop. The camera isn't working, so I can't live stream for a few days.
There were a lot of people who offered to buy Kylie a new laptop, which made her even happier, so she didn't hesitate to reveal her current address to them. After the live stream ended, Kylie left her room to find something to eat. Her mom was talking to someone at the door.
This is the Smiths, our neighbors. His son goes to the same class as you.
Nice to meet you, Kylie. The Smiths were quite friendly, but Kylie was the opposite. She just threw a careless gaze at them, then went back to her room. A few days later, Kylie received a new laptop. With the ecstatic joy on her face, Kylie spent most of her free time using her laptop for her job on OnlyFans. She kept her room extremely quiet, even turning off the air conditioner just to focus on editing photos with that laptop. A loud bang from the ceiling startled Kylie. Normally, there would be rats running back and forth in the attic, but they didn't make such a big noise. Something was wrong, and Kylie could feel it. So she followed the noise out of her room and immediately paid attention to the attic.
Kylie, dinner's ready.
Yeah, but
I'm coming.
In the attic.
Even though she was curious, Kylie didn't have enough courage to check the attic. When she was a kid, she had been hearing stories about those monsters hiding in the attic, and they had unintentionally become her fear. So she never dared to go up there.
That's fine.
That night, Kylie went to bed early. Perhaps she was too fatigued. She fell asleep so quickly
hear your door
that little
clicking?
did she notice the door had been opened. Someone stepped to her bedside, passionately watching her sleep. He had been standing like that for 30 minutes, beholding her like enjoying a work of art. She was so gorgeous. The scent of her hair was priceless.
Ooh,
Kylie gradually woke up as she just went through a terrible nightmare in which a dark figure came out from under the bed and tried to catch her. She looked around in fear, but there was no one in her room. She even checked the windows and door to find out that they had all been closed. An indiscernible sense of dread rose in Kylie's heart. She didn't dare to stand by the window, but quickly turned back to her bed and covered the blanket all over her body.
Under the bed? Oh, no. Get back in the attic.
Mommy, did you see my nightgown?
Kylie couldn't help but feel upset because her favorite new clothes were gone.
You might have lost it somewhere.
Her mom said out loud while taking out the trash.
Kylie, I already told you to close the fridge after getting food.
Kylie looked in, then left the kitchen.
It wasn't me.
After breakfast, her mom drove to work while Kylie was staying at home and cleaned the house as she was told to do. Since a loyal fan gave her $10,000, she was like walking on air. Even washing dishes made her happy. The noise caught Kylie's attention. Was that her mom coming back to get something? She went out of the kitchen.
Mommy?
But there was no reply. Her mom was nowhere to be found, not in the living room nor in her own room.
That's odd.
At this point, she found out that the attic's door had been opened. Kylie got goosebumps from the creepy atmosphere. She hated the attic, but the damn curiosity killed her. It urged her to go up there and check it out. Kylie got her phone in her hand, looked up at the ceiling, but it was dark inside the attic.
What the?
Because she couldn't see clearly, Kylie had to go one step at a time on the stairs. Every step made the ladder creak, and Kylie shivered, making her heart beat faster.
Come on, you're not a child anymore.
She encouraged herself. The inside of the attic was dusty and rusty, causing Kylie to sneeze several times.
So get up out of there.
Achoo! Achoo! Achoo!
He's like crusty.
After getting used to the space, Kylie soon discovered a horrifying secret. On the wooden floor were empty boxes of food and ice cream and the red nightgown that she thought had been lost.
No.
What appeared in front of her eyes left Kylie speechless, and her whole body started to tremble.
Boop, 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 12.
She started to sit up with pain covering her body. That was the moment when she saw a skinny man standing by the window.
The neighbor?
That person was Dylan, the neighbor who had been missing recently. Police were looking for him in every corner of the neighborhood. Dylan was about to run away, but he wasn't expecting to be spotted by Kylie, so he closed the window and rushed toward her. He almost caught her, but ended up only getting a small part of the shirt Kylie was wearing. She managed to run out of the house, screaming for help before being harmed by Dylan. Dylan was finally arrested after his attempt to escape failed. He confessed to the police that he was a loyal fan of Kylie on OnlyFans. After accidentally knowing she was his neighbor, Dylan snuck into her house just to watch her sleep every night. Then he decided to stay in her family attic to be closer to her. The more she knew the truth, the more shocked and disgusted Kylie felt. She never expected that living in her neighborhood was such a nasty pervert.
In her house. Uh-uh.
This morning, Andrea, the girl who went missing 10 days ago, was found dead in a sewer near Main Street. The
Oh.
body was dismembered. The police are actively investigating and report that they have found the suspect's DNA in the crime scene.
The breaking news sent shivers down Bella's spine. There had been missing cases near her house that worried her. She was afraid that she would become a victim like Andrea.
So just stay inside.
As usual, Bella got off work and left 7-Eleven at 2 a.m. Her way home today seemed to be more chilly and cold. Those girls were in their 20s like Bella. All were young and had a whole future ahead of them. Bella stopped in front of a missing notice. There was a picture of Andrea, the girl on the news yesterday. Bella's heart became heavy as she looked at the crumpled paper. Suddenly,
girl.
a
Go.
whistling melody made her
Go.
bones chill.
Go.
She had been hearing this rhythm for 3 days, but every time she turned around, no one was there.
3
Bella
days?
panicked
You
and
didn't
tried to
text
get
stay
home as quickly as she could.
It sounds like a killer call to me.
The next day, she went to work on the familiar path. She quickly noticed a homeless man across the street looking at her. Even though she couldn't see his face clearly, Bella could feel his smile.
Look at him.
She was so terrified that she couldn't run and could only turn her head and walk faster. That man didn't chase after her, but just stood there watching her in the dark. Then Bella discovered that every time she heard the whistle, the homeless man would be there, hanging around on her way home. Sometimes he also appeared around her neighborhood, and when he saw her, he showed his attempt to approach her. He even waved at her. A thought popped up in Bella's mind. There was a high chance that the homeless man was the serial killer on the news. Bella shivered because of that, but even so, she couldn't quit her job anyways. That day, Bella came home from work. On her way home, she felt as if that homeless man was following her. Bella mumbled in panic.
Maybe the killer or
Please,
trying to help
Stop
her.
following me.
Her mind was now filled with the missing notices, Andrea's horrible death, and the fear that Bella's life would eventually end like that. She trembled taking out her phone and trying to call her friends for help, but no one picked up the call. Bella felt helpless, tears running down her cheeks. The way home was getting shorter and shorter. Bella tried to walk faster, and so did the man. While Bella was inserting the key into the lock of the building with her shaking hands, a cold hand suddenly touched her shoulder. Bella screamed in horror when she saw a filthy and wrinkled face close to hers. Her limbs were shaking so hard that she couldn't stand still when the man opened his mouth, reaching out his chapped hand toward her, his body emitting a horrible stench. What did he want from her?
Stay away from me! Stay away from me!
The man got closer, trying to reach her. Before he could touch her, Bella ran inside and locked the door. That man looked in, muttering something regretfully, then left the place.
Like, if you're trying to help her, say that. If you're
After
trying to get her,
locking the
leave
door,
her the hell
Bella
alone.
returned to her apartment. The heart-pounding experience had drained all her energy. She was so exhausted that she only wanted to lie on the bed.
You see, trying to help you
Bella
out.
thought the
Get
landlord
out.
cut off the electricity in her room because she forgot to pay her monthly bill. However, she didn't even bother to think about texting the landlord anymore. She just went inside and opened the curtains to get some light from the outside. Geez, she forgot to close the window again. Right at that moment, Bella realized that her hand was touching something sticky. She used
Oh,
the flash on her phone to see better, and so she was terrified to see that was blood. The blood stain came from the window and led into the house.
girl.
Someone had broken into her house. Frightened and confused, she didn't know what to do. Just then, a friend of hers sent a text message. It said, "Police found the serial killer.
Whoa.
He's injured and hiding somewhere in your neighborhood. Are you home yet? Let me call you." Her best friend, Maxine, seemed to be so worried that she immediately called after texting.
Good
Bella
shit.
was
Answer.
terrified, her whole body
Oh!
shaking non-stop, not because of the ringtone, but the familiar whistle
Girl,
behind her.
jump your ass out the window.
Every
You can
cell
climb
in
up there,
her
you can jump out
body
of there.
froze, and her heart dropped in a sec. Her phone was now connecting the
Answer!
call with Maxine.
Ah!
A heart-rendering scream rang out. Bella's phone dropped to the ground.
Bella! Bella! Are you okay?
Maxine
No!
was extremely panicked and had no idea what had happened. Bella was grabbed by someone. She tried to
Killing her?
cling to everything
Fighting?
while being dragged away but could hold on to nothing. The more she struggled,
Oh!
the more irritated that person became. Horrible sounds and the smell of blood
Oh!
raised up in the air. Bella understood that she
Oh!
was dealing with the killer and this could be the end of her life. The killer made her dizzy by banging her head on the ground, then dragged her to the middle of the house. I was looking for you. Bella was shaking like a leaf, crying desperately.
Please, let me go.
Begging hopelessly now seemed to be the last thing she should do in this situation.
Oh.
Remember to close the window in your next life.
Oh.
After the horrifying scream, the whole house fell into complete silence.
Oh, we got her.
The next morning, Bella's boarding house was strewn with yellow and black police tape. The ones who called 911 were Maxine, Bella's best friend, and that homeless man, after hearing the horrific scream coming from her apartment.
Oh.
Police finally arrested the suspect behind Main Street disappearances. It is reported that he had fled to an illegal facility for injury treatment before getting arrested. Talking about his last victim, Bella, he confessed that he had been stalking her for long enough to know that she often forgot to close her window.
Yo. Ooh, that's a good one. That's some crazy shit, but that's a good one. You sleepy? Hell no, bitch, wake up.
Oh my god, that dream again.
Okay.
It can be said that Tina is an unlucky
Deja
and
vu.
unhappy girl.
You keep dreaming
Her
this
mental
one.
illness was getting worse and worse. She had to see her doctor regularly and used sedatives, but it didn't seem to work. It was also because of that illness that Tina was fired from her job. And the landlord where she stayed increased the price of the room, causing her life at that time to come to a deadlock. She had no choice but to find a new place to live. Tina quickly posted on Craigslist in the hope of finding a new home at a cheap price. But with Tina's desired price in New York, she could not find a satisfactory apartment. With only 1 week left before she will have to go out, Tina is extremely impatient and tries to post more articles to find rental houses. Luckily, after all her efforts, she was introduced to a small apartment. They told her that the owner of the house had to go abroad, so Tina stayed there to help them look after the apartment. Receiving the good news, Tina was overjoyed and quickly packed up to move into the new apartment. It was a shabby building, looking extremely desolate and quiet. According to the landlord, she turned over the carpet in front of the apartment door and got the key. But inside the apartment was a horror. Garbage strewn all over the floor. Since the strong smell of rancid food filled the air, Tina couldn't handle that. She quickly ran out of the apartment and sniffed the air in the hallway.
Hello, girl. You just moved here?
Oh, hell
A
no,
middle-aged
sir.
man in his 60s stood at the door of the apartment next door, his face a bit weird, but he tried to give her a friendly smile. "Ah, yes. Hi. I just moved into this apartment."
Welcome to the neighborhood.
The man's strange gaze made Tina extremely uncomfortable, so she quickly returned to the house. Seeing the filthy house, Tina shook her head. With no other choice, she had to rush to clean the house. She was originally a clean person, so she meticulously scrubbed every corner of the house. Suddenly, she saw a notebook on the table. She curiously opened it and saw a line written in red letters. I know what you did last summer. Tina's head suddenly whirled when she saw that line. It seemed to remind her of her terrible past.
What'd you do last summer, Tina?
Tina suddenly heard the doorbell. Opening the door, it was that creepy neighbor. He was holding an apple pie. This time, Tina got a better look at him.
You see that
His
black
face
fingernail?
was deformed
Oh,
and
no.
strange looking, and his eyes were dark like an addict. He smiled, showing yellow teeth and breath worse than a trash can.
Well, I don't know if you mind, but I made an apple pie to welcome you to the building.
Appreciate you.
Thanks.
Bring it
Tina
inside,
tried to be
throw it
polite,
away.
received the cake, and quickly closed the door.
Throw
She couldn't
it
explain the
away.
uncomfortable and a little creepy feeling she felt when she saw him. Just in case, she didn't touch a single piece of cake he gave her.
Good.
Tina set that cake aside and continued cleaning the house. After cleaning, Tina lay comfortably on the bed, but still worried because she has not found a new job yet. While sleepy, Tina accidentally saw a hole in the wall. She jumped up and headed towards that hole.
Oh, hell no.
Why is there a hole here? Why didn't I notice it before?
Oh,
Tina had a
hell
heart
no.
attack. She hurriedly took the paper and sealed the hole. She quickly locked all the doors in the house. A sense of danger surrounded her, her heart pounding like it was about to jump out of her chest. But she could do nothing but fear. If she went out, he might be standing at the door waiting for her. If she stayed in the house, he could break in and attack her. That night, Tina couldn't sleep. She was always worried about that horror neighbor. But because she was so tired, Tina fell asleep. The next morning, Tina woke up dreamily to find herself sleeping on the sofa. Looking around, the house was still intact. She felt more relieved that she was still safe. That same day, Tina happily returned home after a successful job interview.
Okay, good.
But when she opened the door, Tina's face turned pale when she saw the words, "I know what you did last
Oh.
summer," painted with blood red paint all over the walls of her house.
Girl, what'd you do last summer?
Her screams echoed throughout the
how this
building,
goes?
and immediately
Like
that
fast
neighbor appeared with a
movies.
surprised face.
What happened?
Boy, shut up. You know
Oh
what
my
happened.
God! Are you okay?
At first, Tina assumed that this was caused by the neighbor, but seeing his surprised expression and words, she immediately let him out of her doubt.
Girl,
The
shut
neighbor helped her
up.
sit down on the sofa and comforted her. Tina was completely devastated at this point. Looking at those words, she knew for sure that the person who did this was someone she used to know. He knew about her last summer, and now he's stalking her.
What did you do last
It
summer?
can't
Tell
be.
us.
It can't be. He's dead. It can't be him. She looked up at him and met his sharp, hateful gaze. Tina now recognized the man's face, the same one she had crashed that summer. You are. How can? You're already dead.
Obviously, I'm still breathing, but you threw me into the river. Now you must pay for the crime you did.
Help! Someone save me! Help! He went mad, rushed to strangle Tina. Although she tried to resist, she could not escape his hand. She did not struggle anymore. Tina had tears in her eyes as if she wanted to beg the man to forgive her. But he suddenly became strange.
I have to kill you. Ah! Don't kill me. Don't kill me. Ah! Please don't kill me.
Wait,
The man couldn't seem to control his behavior. Meanwhile, Tina tried to get up and ran as fast as she could out of the apartment. Although she escaped from the man's hand, Tina is now severely affected mentally.
Oh. Okay. What a twist, Mr. Creepy. Now that's looking at the ends. You all. So my first one might be number one. Why? Because what? According to them, it's based on a true story. You see that little snippet in the beginning? They, tweaked it, but what? Still love a little twist. Yeah, that would be my favorite. The second one's good too. The last one's good too. They're all good, but what? Number one and number two. Number two's crazy because it's always, like, yeah, that man was creepy looking, but like, he should have said something though. Like, how do you expect someone to just assume you're trying to help them if you don't say nothing? You're just trying to grab her every day and just getting closer and closer to her. Like, if you don't say, hey, you don't see that man that be following you too? Like, you're looking at me, but like, there's another guy that's following you too. Like, he could have did anything, truthfully, in my opinion. Yeah, and call the boys when you know she about to die. What? So yeah, number one and number two. Thank you, Mr. Creepy. We appreciate you letting us react to a video of yours. Love you guys. And until next time, bye.